Alright, what's up everyone? PawnsDontLie here. Played the game against my viewer yesterday. He was 1800, I was 1600, and this is not a clickbait. Usually, you know PawnsDontLie. He likes to joke around, always clickbaiting, lying, joking, memeing, being a loser. But this time, we got 6 brilliant moves in one game. It was fun. Fasten your seatbelt, it's gonna be one hell of a ride. If you like the Bird's Gambit, then you're gonna really enjoy this game. That's what I played. Comes out of the Philidor defense, which is e4. e4, humble, oldest move in chess. So I strike e4, e5, basic stuff. Knight comes out, pawns defended. This is the Philidor defense, so he defends the e5 pawn. And now, usually the best move or the best book move is to directly open up the center, and here they can do a couple of moves, but they choose to take. And instead of taking the knight, which is what you're supposed to do, I decide to play the Bird's Gambit. It's what 1600s are supposed to do. Have fun while they can before they get to the Grandmaster level, and they realize gambiting one pawn will definitely make them lose the game. So here I gambit one pawn, and instead of taking back, this is the key moment, is your bishop has to just come out. So the bishop comes out on c4, and I want you to keep a good eye on this bishop, because this bishop is going to be Will Smith, Conor McGregor against Khabib. He's just gonna be smacked, slapped, hit, everything. So here the opponent actually gets greedy and allows me to develop even more by taking one more pawn. So keep in mind, right now black is up 2 points of material, but I have 3 pieces and a pawn with the queen as well developed. Almost. The queen isn't really developed, but now I'm gonna castle, I'm gonna develop, and I'm gonna go full attacking mode. This is the dream position you can get out of a gambit. You have too many good pieces attacking the enemy king, and they haven't even developed, not even coming close to castling. He needs 2 more moves at least to castle. Okay, so here they play knight d7, and to his credit, that's the best move. Best move, maybe knight coming out to b6, depending on what I play. Attacking my bishop, which is my best piece at this point. e5, good stuff here. The opponent kind of scared me a bit by playing this move. It looked pretty smart. Again, he's 200 rating points higher than me, but I wasn't stressed. Okay, I was, so I castled, got my king to safety, very important. People nowadays playing Bon Cloud, all that garbage. Just castle, get your king to safety, and have fun attacking. Attacking with your pieces rather than your king being naked up on the board walking around. So here opponent plays the first mistake, which is c6. Didn't really understand this move. Maybe he wants to kick my bishop out, knowing it's too powerful. Maybe try to take over the center after playing the knight out. Something, I don't know what was the main idea, I couldn't ask him. So here I played rook e1. Rook e1, I don't know what it's called. I mean, I get 6 brilliant moves, but I don't know what rook e1 is called in terms of making the rook indirectly see the king. So x-ray, pin, I don't know. Okay, so I have my pawn, my rook, and enemy king on the opposite side. Opponent plays the first blunder already, which is really hard because you haven't even started the game. Like, you can't blunder any pieces even if you tried. Well, because natural would be developing, but they played b5. They played b5. They're sick of my bishop. He's looking directly next to the enemy king, and they just want to get rid of it. So he tries to gain a tempo move, maybe even play a5, try to trap me, get queenside attack going, but that doesn't work. And this allows my first brilliancy. So if you want to pause the video, I mean, if you're gonna keep pausing the video, you're probably not even gonna watch the video at this point, because there's 6 brilliancies. So here I completely ignore my bishop. He's under attack, but I don't even care. I leave him to die, and I go e5. And e5 is just a fascinating move, and that's why the discovered attack. Now, I was trying to think about what it was called before, but now we're gonna have a discovered attack. So here, if they take the bishop, I take the pawn, and my pieces just all come alive, and the rook sees the king, and it's just really bad. It's going to be really bad for my opponent. So my opponent actually plays the best move, which I encourage all of you, the same way to be a good attacker, you also have to be a good defender in chess. So my opponent actually plays d5, which is the best move. Props to my opponent. This actually defensive resource should be a brilliancy, if anything. I found that a good move. And here, the reason they played d5 is because this bishop is a menace. It's way too hard to protect from for the f7 square, and now my pawn can no longer take and provide any discovered attacks. But now my bishop is attacked by two different pieces. My opponent tried to attack my bishop with one pawn, and I ignored it. I told him that's not enough. Now he brings two pawns to try to attack my bishop, and again I tell him it's not enough, and I play the best move, which is just pushing. Instead of retreating, I just push again, and now if they take, the rook can take, which is what happens. Takes, rook takes, knight blocks. The bishop can't block because f7 or g7 is hanging. So what's happening here? Let's take a break. What's happening here? The king is under attack, he has no development, but my bishop is under attack by two different pawns. So what would you play here as white? And if you said knight to d4, then you got a brilliancy. You should be proud of yourself. Go flex. Knight to d4. So my bishop is under attack by two different pieces, but the knight comes in preparing to go to c6, and to stop that, opponent plays a mistake, what we come to know, but it looks like a very natural move, because not only does it protect the c6 square, but it attacks my rook with the bishop, which is knight back. And it looked like a great move. I was actually thinking that my attack was over, because now everything is almost hanging. But I saw the best thing you can see in chess, which is a check. And I came in with the queen just in time. And then the only way to block is by g6. And then the queen goes to attack the rook in the center of the board. And now everything's aligned just the way I want it to be. Except my bishop is under fire and my rook. So here the opponent also makes a mistake. Instead of taking my rook, which is the best move, I don't know why he didn't, but he decides to move the rook. Maybe he was scared that my knight's gonna come in, and then with the queen and the knight, maybe there's mate on f8. The rook slides over one square, and now my rook and my bishop is under fire, but we throw in yet another brilliancy. Also feel free to pause the video. And I decide to take b5 with my knight. So I said it's not enough to have two pieces under attack. I want to have all three pieces under attack except for the queen. And here the opponent actually plays the best move, which is a move one too late, which is taking my rook. Now he takes my rook, and now both my bishop and my knight are under attack. So this allowed me to hop my knight in and give a check to win the bishop, which is what happens. Knight comes in, king moves, and knight takes bishop. And now my bishop is still hanging. Also, can we get props to this bishop? I mean, it's been hanging for, we played around 17 moves. And since move 2, or not 2, maybe like 4, the bishop has been under attack. This bishop went to a party, got beaten up by the same two guys, and all his friends are just partying, ignoring what's happening to him. That bishop being under attack is what led us to having all these brilliant moves and quick attacks. So here, the queen slides over. The better move is to actually go to b6, maybe put pressure on my other bishop, so on and so forth. Here, I thought, you know what, my bishop's already dead, I've ignored it for 18 moves, why not ignore it for one more? So my knight hops in for a brilliancy, my knight hops in for another brilliancy, bishop is still under fire, but here, opponent plays a good move, not the best one. The best one's to try to get your king back, get it out of the attack, I think he wants to get his bishop out and get a tempo on the queen and maybe play it safe. Guys, keep in mind that material count is still +3 for black, and my bishop is still under attack. So we got 4 or 5, how many was it? 4 brilliancies, and we are still down material, and we're about to maybe lose material. So I think it's not enough. I want to lose more material, so my knight hops in and sacks itself. The pawn has to take at this point, and now before taking immediately, because black can almost consolidate, we go give a check. The knight blocks. Now we take. Now the bishop comes in to block block the check, and now the knight hops here. The bishop is pinned, so the king has to move. King moves. Better square was to go back, and now that one person who's late to the fight, late to the party, comes in your house when you're having breakfast. Is like, yo, where's everyone? Dude, I'm having breakfast with my 4 dads. It's 8 a.m. The party was at 12 a.m. So the rook slides into e1, gives a check, king goes back, best move. Now the knight hops in. There's a square for the knight, hops in for a check. Now king moves back again, and now I have a discovered. Before moving the knight to take a discovered attack, I noticed that their knight can block, so I take it first. And now rook tries to pressure my bishop, because literally at this point, black has no moves. Like, here, black can't take my bishop, black can't move, there's a discovered coming, so the only move, which is excellent, imagine like the best move for black here is to play a6. The computer has completely given up on black. If the computer could say it, they would have told him to resign. But here they want to continue fighting. The rook goes on b7. Maybe there's hope. Maybe I blunder. Maybe they get a brilliancy. Now the knight hops in, discovered attack. And now the king moves. Only move. Now I take the knight, because knights can be tricky, so I decide to take it. And now they have a nice battery against me instead of taking the knight back, so they can try to attack my king. So the tables could turn any second. And here I decide to ignore my knight, ignore my pawn, and try to go for mate since we made it this far. And I just hop the queen, or the queen doesn't hop, the knight does, but I just slid the queen right to e6. And now my knight and my bishop is hanging. The mate threats are coming. We have queen on f6 next, which is a problem. So here opponent plays the best move, which is first to take my pawn. King slides over. Now mate in 3. Can you all find it? Mate in 3. Of course, it's not a good brilliancy video if you don't sack the queen on e8. And now the rook has to take. So unfortunately, it would have been beautiful to get a 6 brilliancy game with an Oprah mate, but there was no Oprah mate here. Almost. The rook comes in, and now the final knight to the side of the board. That is frowned upon usually, and is almost never a good idea to have the knight on the board. But the knight on the board delivers the checkmate. They still have a queen on the board, but we managed to deliver a checkmate with a rook, 2 bishops, and a knight. I think that was a beautiful game. I don't know if you're struggling to get 1 brilliancy, but your Pawns Master got 6 in 1 game. So I hope you liked the video. I hope it was instructive. I didn't go through all the lines thoroughly because I thought you're here for the brilliancies, not for the chess. So I hope you enjoyed, and have a good Sunday.